Guess I'm back live again. I think it's been about a few days now. So let me start with I stopped fasting. I'm going to fast for 72 days. Sorry, 72 hours. Brain malfunction. So 3 days on water. That kind of cleared up most of my, I think, addictive feelings or just conditions. Let's say conditions. Because it's just the condition that says I'm hungry, the condition that says this and that. And out of that feeling, I think it's just like an addiction. It wants to fuel itself. And once I go through the threshold, through the resistance, then eventually the hunger is gone. The feeling of hungry is gone. So now I'm just drinking water. Like, am I craving? I think I would love to eat something very nice. That's how I feel now. But I don't really feel the craving as much as I did the first day. So maybe that's also part of with every single thing in life is that if you do it too much, that craving is still there. And it's because you have conditioned to fulfill your needs from the external things in life. And the more we fast from it, the more we let go of it, the less it has control over us. So maybe it's nice to have that maybe once a month or 3 months to just have a bodily reset with yourself. And maybe that's the same with love, right? I think just being around people you love that fulfills you. You have also a need. It can become a very addictive state of being where you constantly need someone. And that to itself, hello, and that to itself can be unhealthy if you don't watch out. So I've been talking about fasting. I'm on my fasting now for I think maybe 30 hours. It's just water fast. But I think we have this also with people as well, is things that we do that we repeat and repeat, and that's just becoming a habit, right? And if it's a habit, then at one point we don't know what we miss if we don't fast from it, if we don't let go of it. And I feel from the fasting, I feel much clearer in what I feel and what I need, and less from the conditions that I build up, the habits that I build up. I think I can give my time or my body more time to heal, and that's the fasting part. And the more I let go, maybe this is the philosophy, right? If I let go of the external needs, then eventually I come back to myself. I come back to what I need and what I long for or what I feel. If the if I get input constantly from everything around me, that's an overload of information, right? It's an overload of feelings, it's an overload of just let's say information translated back into feelings, and that feeling then is a thought within yourself. And the more we are in that field of information or just input constantly, it's an overload of energy, and that energy we have to regulate. And if we don't even have a break to regulate everything, this is why when you rest, you regulate some of your systems or some of those energies. When you sleep, also some of those energies. Um, you can regulate it in different ways. So fasting is one of them to make sure that the energy eventually just dies off, and then there's nothing but you within yourself. And then you have the balance in life, that is, how do I regulate the energy by doing things that I love to do? So either I do sporting, I ride, Go for a walk, I go for a swim, I go for things to regulate the energy that comes through me constantly. And it's the same with watching. I'm up, up. Hello. It's the same with watching or scrolling constantly, right? It's the input of energy. Hello, so dull. And that energy input is constantly within your system. So it goes in, information, information. Hey, Opa. And it's more information, it's more information. So at one point, you just downloaded all of this information and it's stored. Aran, okay, beautiful. Assalamu alaikum. And from that perspective is that everything is stored now, but you still have to do something with it. So now it's just information within your system, or you have to like let it go again. But at one point, the brain is working so hard to regulate information constantly that it doesn't have time to rest. And this is why fasting is a very beautiful subject, because you can fast from your phone, you can fast from food, you can fast from people, and from the input that you get from outside. And then at one point, you're in this state of, oh yeah, this is me again. And out of what I need is you can start creating a more healthy a set of boundaries with yourself to see, okay, how much do I want the input in my life? That's very true. That's very true. But that's how you call this. I know, brother. I know. I know. But it's not because you decided to do that, right? It's because actually you sort of decided to do that, and but it teaches us to, I think, somewhere to be content with being happy or just having nothing, but also the awareness of that we have been, let's say, very abundant in life. Like some people have nothing, right? So I don't want to compare that. I'm from Cambodia and I live in the Netherlands. So, yeah, I think when we are deprived of everything, not even deprived of everything, let me switch that term into when I let go of everything, then I can feel everything within myself. And the more I feel whatever I am, the more I can regulate my own system again. Otherwise, externalization of the energies of input from outside is the thing that keeps on influencing my own energy. And that to itself can either be a good thing or a bad thing. So you can either say, I see a lot of negative things in life, a lot of social media things in life, and or just media to itself, and that can become a very negative energy. Well, thank you. Where you're from, and that means your energy then becomes that, right? It's like you're feeding yourself constantly with energy. That energy can be either negative, Jersey, like from America, or New Zealand. Ah, nice. We had a guy here coming. We live in a community, so they come here for I say this workaway. He was a super chill dude, super chill dude. I love that dude. But to come back in, I think we know this is like what you eat is what you are, and that's the same with watching things and eating things. Oh yeah, thank you. I love this one as well. Favorite. Super comfy, super warm, and I notice I don't have to regulate as much anymore if I fast long enough. At one point, like, oh yeah, there's less input, so there's less to regulate, costs less energy. I'm not as tired. I don't have all these fluctuation of emotions. I'm just pretty good. Like after a day, it was kind of hard because then the hunger comes in, and then my stupid ass was like, you know what? I'm just gonna look at videos about food, And that's not per se a good thing, but I think that's a part of the addiction that we can have, whether it's with smoking, whether it's with other things in life, is that maybe it's nice to do it for not like 3 days, 100 days. My longest. I think this is my longest, brother. I have someone, I know someone, they live on prana. So they live on air. And they eat like small bits, but they don't eat. They eat because they want to taste something, but they don't eat. Like I'm not sure if it's like true because I don't follow them. I don't see them every day. So that's from what I hear of them. You have people who are living on prana. You have people who can fast for 100 days. Not sure how healthy that is, but I think the body is such a strange vehicle. It can do a lot of things that we don't know of. I mean, yeah, that's too much of the theory. But for me, I'm at my almost second day, and I feel great actually. I don't feel like I'm hungry. I'm good. Yes, exactly that. Exactly what Yuppa said. Because in the end, it's all intention, right? Like, what do we want to focus on? Some people manifest because they focus on something and then they get it. It doesn't matter. There's no good or bad. Like, there's people I know who just wanted to have a smoke and then he just put his intention in that and that's what comes to him. Someone that brought him a smoke. Someone looks for a chair, eventually they find a chair. It's in the end, it's our energy, our focus, our dreams, and the things that we want to create. And if we just shift that mindset into, oh yeah, this is what I want, that's what I want, this is what I want, and then that is what I'm going for, then you put intention out there and then you just move forward and then you get it. But the bigger dream means a bigger, higher energy. So it means that you have to start creating this expansion version of you that can hold, for example, a million, a billion, or whatever trillion you have. And that is to itself is just, I think, cause and effect. It's just energy exchange, energy transformation. It's you becoming the energy that you need to become in order for you to attract that, like a magnet. Like you have a tiny magnet, and that tiny magnet, I left my wallet in El Segundo. Nice, Elizabeth. That's that's a shame. I hope your wallet can get back. But going back to the magnet version, so you have a small magnet that can attract just as much, and that's how much it can attract, right? And then you have a smaller magnet that can only attract that one, and then you have a big magnet that can attract that. So if I'm this big expansion of the self, my spirit, or whatever energy I am, that means that I can attract all of that. And the same with a small version of me. I can just attract that and I can attract this. So in the end, it's about you opening up because I don't think it's per se that we become smaller or bigger. I think we have limitations onto ourselves. And those limitations is conditions. That means you have limited yourself by putting conditions on yourself, by creating impossibilities within yourself. Hi, Tanishka. How are you doing? And that to itself is saying, oh, you know what, I can do that. So you break a limitation. You have created a possibility for you to then start creating that pathway that you truly want. And it's the same with other things in your head. Like if you have conditions onto yourself that makes things impossible for you, then it's very difficult to move through that barrier because you're the one creating that barrier for yourself. And sometimes we project that barrier onto someone else. And that means we project our impossibilities onto someone, and that they are then our, how you call this, our gatekeepers, the gatekeeper to our own possibilities on the other side. So if we project the impossibility onto someone else, like that person did this to me, so I can't do this, or that person is telling me this is impossible, so I'm just trusting to that person that he says it's impossible, so I won't even do it anymore. That's creating conditions onto yourself, a limitation. So the only thing we're doing is breaking through limitations, we expand. And then we break through another limitation, we expand. I think that we are capable of doing everything. I mean, there's people earning trillions and trillions. Yeah, I think so too. But I haven't fully experienced it yet to a certain degree where I feel like, you know what, I can, it feels uncomfortable at the moment. Like I feel I'm stable, I feel I'm clear, but I'm not accustomed to feeling this way in my body because, you know, my regulation, my conditions is morning, mid, and then evening. So that's the loop of the condition of my body. It understands that this is when I get this, this, and this. And this is just what my body remembers until I say, no, we're going to do something different. Aerobium. And that's the same with smoking is or addiction is that you have your 24-hour cycle. Oh, thank you very much. This is the first time I see you actually talking, but welcome back. Um, so we have this 24 hours, right? And these are the conditions or the, how you say this? I can't get to the word, but let's say conditions, right? Habits. So every time there's a point in where you feel something, and then you say, okay, activate habit, energy, story, and then you just take something. That's just the condition that you have put in yourself for the 24 hours. That's just your loop. You can break that loop by being aware of it. Once you become aware of the trigger points of where the habits, the conditions are, then you can break the loop. You can break the cycle. But in order for that to happen, you have to become aware of your life. That means you have to stay aware of what you're doing, like an observer seeing its own life playing out like one day. And then you see, oh, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I could change this. I could break this loop. Um, but if the loop has been going on for years and years and years and years, it's trying to break a cycle that's, you know, life, like years of your experience. But that means you have to go back to the core. But what is the core? The core is all the way where it started. For example, with a habit, with addiction, something happened over there, and that's when you start doing it. So once you understand what the core is, you could, and this is from my own experience, is when you stop the addiction because the addiction is then solved. The problem is solved because you have you try to numb it with something else, or you try to, for example, coffee is also a thing, is that because I can't fully wake up myself, I drink coffee to activate my system to be active, right? So that means I could, if I want to, start finding a way to activate myself in order for me to stop drinking coffee every day or the X amount of coffee that I need to be active constantly. So that's a way of looking at things in habits and conditions or externalization of what we need in our own system to balance out that what we need. So, for example, also with love, if I feel empty within myself and I see someone I love and you meet someone you love, and then what happens, it's actually opening up within yourself, but you think that it's about someone else. It's just the activation that you had to feel in order for you to feel that way. Same with coffee, just remembering that you could feel the same way. It's just externalization at the moment. Yeah, it could be. It could be. Like for me, it was curiosity at one point. But there's more behind that for me at least. Oh yeah, that's congratulations by the way. Hello, Alan. But for me, it was curiosity, but then it ended up healing a lot of things and lots of traumas connected to it. So it's a plant medicine. Like that to itself would tell you what it is. It's plant medicine. but it's a support to heal. So for me, this is what um, from my perspective, is if everything is medicine to itself, then it's just a support for you to heal, to get to the point where you need to be in life so that you don't need it anymore. And yeah, that's what medicine is for me. And it's the same with people, the same with love. I'm not saying you don't need it. I would say if you understand that what you need to love yourself more, then eventually it becomes more of a full state of being instead of an empty version of you that needs constant external validation of love to feel more love. And what I just said about once you see someone that you like, that you love, something inside of you opens up, right? It's not because of her, it's a trigger to open up again, to feel that love again. So we just need sometimes an external trigger to go to that feeling. But in the end, it's you that feels that way. It's just that you want to pour your love, and then you want that person to give back that same love. Because you see her or him that way, and you want that person to see the same, to look the same way at you. And once you have that connection, then you're like, oh yeah, I'm being seen fully in who I am, without the mask, without anything else. It's just you see each other for what it is, and not for the, I would say, ego. Is that the right correct word? Because everything falls away, the job, the story, and everything else, because you see each other, right? It's not about the story, it's not about the job, it's not about what you have. It's about you seeing each other. That is what true love is. But when the ego interferes, that's when all of these things comes back again. The job, the status, the this and that, and blah 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 blah. And that is why love is no longer unconditional. Then it's conditioned love again. And that is what we call the ego, what I call fear. Now, based on reality, I would say with the people that I met, the partners that I was with, is that that's a reality. You can't say no to that, because in the end, just like a hunter gatherer, you need to provide for your family. You need to make sure that this and that is good. You need to be safe. You need to have a little cave where everyone can sit in and be, be happy. So that's a part of reality. It's just that loving it unconditionally means you don't want to change them, but they will want to change for you. And that's something different. And if you're forced to change, then maybe you are not the one looking deeply within yourself. And maybe you're not seeing the things that you need to change in. And maybe that's maturing in love, maturing in life. And that to itself, I would say from my perspective, yes, that happened to me. Maturing in life, getting really hard reflections back into, oh yeah, that's not good in my life. And it was painful. It was painful to see that. Um, but in the end, it was resolved because the babies came, my children came. I had to become a dad. I had to step up my game very much, and that brought me into an upgradable version of me that takes responsibility in different ways in life. Because you also think for the future at the same time, because your children are walking on this beautiful planet that we still have to take care of and that we have to make better, and that's it. Now I'll be right back because I have to do something. And thank you for watching for now. And if you're leaving and you don't come back, um, thank you very much. What's your name? Is it Artemisia? That's actually a very beautiful name. But I'll be back in like 5 minutes. And thank you for subscribing. Okay. I'm backity back. I think people left already. That's fine. Just start over. 4 or 5 minutes. Okay. Hi, welcome back. Um, yeah, I think that was it. Maybe a little bit more deeper dive into what I feel and what I've been experiencing so far with this whole fasting thing, but also in terms of love. I feel so much more clear in my mind, also less like noise. Um, Even negativity is less, but maybe that's just my state of being. I feel sharper as well, and that's it. But to continue on the part of love, is I think self love to itself is that will what will bring people more closer to themselves and others at the same time. Because the more you understand how to love yourself, the more you can understand how to love someone else. The more you understand how to love yourself, it means you also understand where your own boundaries are and what you love to do in life. And that to itself is so clear that the other person that wants to love you the same way means you respect each other in each other's pathways and the way that you are. And then it's a fulfillment of love to itself and not per se a still seeking of love. Hello, CG. Welcome. And the more you can be acceptance or yeah, in full embrace of who you are, the easier it becomes to find the right partner for you, also the right dream for you, also creating the right life for you. Because you decide that this is the life that I want to be in, this is the life that I want to create, this is the life that I want to play in. And that to itself, if you are truthful to yourself, that means you are in truth with you. So you don't have to filter, you don't have to mask, you don't have to play pretend. You just have to attract the people who love you for who you are and not have to pretend to be a version of you because that means you have to keep up with the illusions. And I feel like this is also what happens with narcissists is that they don't have a sense of self, so they create a mask of self. They create a mask that they show to the world for them to be loved in a way. And if someone attacks or shows that it's not per se them, it's not really them, then at one point they start fighting and trying to, I would say, a character assassination, because that happened to me as well at one point. And this is what we call the cancel culture, at least from my perspective, is that if you can't even say the truth anymore and you're being canceled by saying your own opinion, stating your own opinion, that means we cannot have a true conversation anymore. And at one point, we just have one story. And that story could be very dangerous or could be very good. So there's two sides of that coin. But I wouldn't say that is freedom of speech. I feel that's being politically correct. I wouldn't even say that. I would say indoctrination. Have you ever met people who are indoctrinated? It means that they got their belief structure from a religion or a family or whatever. Like, I'm not saying that belief to itself is a bad thing. I'm saying that once it's indoctrinated, then it's no longer who they are. It's just a programming. It's just saying you have to be good, you have to do this, you have to do that. But if the experience is not connected to the belief, then it cannot be true because you have not experienced it yet. So it's like a false sense of being good or a false sense of being bad. It doesn't even matter what way it is. But you have people who pretend to be good because they think it is good, but they don't feel or experience it that it is good. And that is the danger of a narcissist, is they pretend to be good, but they're not good. And they show many, many different forms for people to like them. But in the end, it will fall apart. And I feel this is where the state of the world is in. I'm going into a more deeper subject now. And that is, we have a lot of play pretend, a lot of illusions, a lot of narcissists whom want to act as if they're good, but they are not. You can look at this in a way, if you look at the marketing of companies, is that they're being swayed by what the people love. And they're not keeping their own core intention or business. So once they start shifting from one agenda to the other agenda to the other agenda, that's not true to itself. It means they're just shifting, shape shifting into what they need to be in order for the population to love them, to like them. And if you go back to the narcissist, it's the same thing. Is they're shape shifting into versions of them so that others might like them. And this is where they lose their identity. They lose their authentic identity. Maybe this is also where the problem is within younger generations, or just not per se younger generations. With young kids, they're easily manipulated, but also easily, like as a child, you're looking for safety. So in that safety, you're looking for a group that makes you feel safe. So either you join that group or this group or that group in the school because that's your pack. And the pack leader will probably keep you safe in sort of way. And I think this is also what happens in the world. We have lots of packs and they have their own special leader, and everyone is trying to do their best in the way that they do their best. Every animal pack is different, moves differently. So I feel we're still in the stage of where we are trying to find the best system that is healthy, that can make us grow, that can make us evolve, that is still compassionate, still in unity. And whatever is playing out right now is just the outcome of the cause and effect of the systems that don't work, that do work. And if we don't learn from the system that does work and reject the things that does work because they feel like their system is better because they're loyal to whatever nonsense that is that they're loyal to, and they can't see beyond their ego, then it's difficult to learn from each other. And it's the same with us. Like if we have certain beliefs, structures within ourselves, and we don't learn from it when we crash and when we fall and when we bump our head a few thousand times, it means we're very blind in being aware of what doesn't work. And I feel this sometimes this is also where the ego interferes. Like if you keep feeding the ego to a certain degree and it's being fed by other people because they want to believe the same thing, then it's very difficult to go through it. Very difficult to realize that maybe they are the problem. Maybe we are the problem. Maybe I am doing something that doesn't help us evolve. And I feel this is where we as human beings can connect a little bit more to ourselves and see, hey, who am I? What do I want? What is my life purpose? Instead of joining a pack without knowing what their intention is. And sometimes the pack leader doesn't have the right intentions. Sometimes the pack leader is leading you to a slaughterhouse instead of the place that you want to be. And this is why I said the narcissist, because the narcissist just wants you to follow where they want you to be. They're not looking at the pack and go like, you know what? I have to help my pack to get to the place that we all want to be. And that's the difference between a selfish leader and a selfless leader. The leader who is being chosen by the pack, or the leader that has been put there by something else or took over in a very dominant, aggressive way. And that to itself wouldn't be a problem as much, but the animal kingdom is the way that it is because the strongest survive. Now, the idea is that when the strongest is there, the alpha, it can keep the pack safe. It makes sure the pack will have food. And this is what every pack leader, president, want to do in life. I think some don't, some do. And they decide that this is the best way. Some are there just to be the boss. You see this in many, many cartoons and movies. They just want to be the leader because then they're the center of the attention. And then you have leaders who want to resolve things, they want to create things. They don't feel like they need to be the center of the attention. And maybe the more we become aware of that, the more we can select. Now, I haven't met one yet where I felt like, yeah, that's the one I want to follow. No, I do, but it's not a precedent. So I feel like it's the same with just having examples in life. If you have a good example in life, that means he's the one that you follow, the one that you want to become more of, or just you see something inside of him or her that you feel like this is the beauty that I want to develop within myself. The attribute, yeah, the attribute, I guess. I think that's the right way to say it. And to become better and stronger at it. And maybe this is just time. That time will eventually start changing the way that we do things, because if the old generations are still stuck with this idea that we have to be unsafe from each other, then we can't move beyond that because they're still in power, right? It's very hard to get them out of power because they're just there. They're already in the seats of position that they need to be in order for them to keep moving the world to where they want it to be. So if you take it very neutral, they just have a set of agendas, and everyone has their own set of agendas, and everyone wants to move that agenda. Now let's change that term agenda into manifestation and dream. So everyone has their own set of dreams, set of dreams to manifest, and they want to do this in their own way. And how they do this, they have their own special way. You have propaganda systems, you have social media, you have ways to indoctrinate the people into wanting to follow the agenda that they give to you. Now, from a different perspective, a neutral perspective, how can we change this? How can we move from what they want into what we want? And that means we have to come together in some sort of way. And maybe the best way to do this is like having small communities. But it's very difficult to have one big gigantic platform where everyone can come in and say, you know what, we want to build this, we want to do this, we want to build that dream and that dream. Because what you then have is still like small places where people can connect, but they have to be in alignment with that. But if there's still alignment with the old ways of living, then that is where they will stay. They pour their energy in this, and they pour their energy in that, and in this and that. This is just how energy works. It's just if you're connected to this, yes, I hope it can expand, that we can start creating a big space together. Because in the end, it's about you, me having. It is. Thank you, Yoppa. And also to talk with each other. Like, how can we, if we have multiple points of in the land, in our country, on the planet, where people can connect to and talk about all of these things and innovate and see, okay, what can we do to help the planet out? Because if we just remove the politicians and the government away from this idea, then there's more freedom. And then we can see within the boundaries of a country, within the laws of the country, what can we build. And I feel this way is how we can move away from seeing them as the enemy or seeing them as an opponent, but more seeing as, okay, what can we do? What can we focus on? What can we start creating in our own lives. What can we do together? And to unite the people in that way, yeah, that's you need at this moment a lot of money. And money to itself is not the problem. It's how do you create that money and still not lose the intention with the money to create the things that we would love to see in the world. And if I take an example of certain things like hives in the Netherlands, or something like Facebook. But what happens if you sell is that they take over and then you can't grow anymore. We can't expand anymore. So that's what happens every time a company grows. They get bought up. And if you look at the game companies, for example, for those who play games, at one point the company dies off because you have greedy ass people who want to milk out every single little thing that those who created that with the passion that they had at that time um, was the one that people were attracted to. And then you had those who buy it and then just milk it and milk it and milk it and milk it and don't add anything new per se because they don't have anything new to create anymore. Because they don't have that same mindset. They don't have the passion to create something good. They have the passion to milk everything out to get as much money out of something. Minecraft was one of those things, yes. And I think EA did a lot of buying out other companies as well. And then it kind of destroyed how you call this, the titles and the companies that they bought off actually. And this is with Activision. It was with Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, etc., etc. At one point, it's just I think Tolkien, the one that wrote The Lord of the Rings, evil cannot create something new. Only good can create something new. And this is what I feel is happening at the moment is that we don't have people, well, we do have people who are passionate. It's just that when they get bought off, the passion is no longer there. And that's a shame. It's a shame that it has to be that way. Even Amazon had a thing like this, right? When they saw a best-selling product and then they copied that product and then they removed the original product from their store in order for them to not compete with the original product anymore. And that to itself is just, monopoly. And maybe this is where the problem is in capitalism, is that there's too much money at one point that you can just buy all the streets. You can buy all the land, you can buy all the houses, and you can't stop them from buying it. And this is why the borders are there, the rules are there, the laws are there, so that other people cannot just buy the whole land if they wish to. And there's people who can actually do that if they were capable. Maybe this is why the laws in every country is beautiful to have. That I can't just buy a land there, that I can't just buy a house over there, because this is how you take over someone else's land. So that's a good thought. Hmm. Yeah. So I'm learning while I'm talking as well, and I feel like if every thank you, if every country were to look at where they do bad and they fix that, it would be amazing. But instead of doing that, they fight each other. They fight each other within themselves, and then they fight other countries because they fear that if they grow bigger, then they might take over. And that's, could be a fear based on reality. Like, I wouldn't say it's not based on reality. I mean, we've been invading each other's lands for quite some time now. So it's not per se a bad thing to fear, but you have to make sure that no one can. And you have to build a country so strong that no one will. And for example, America is one of those. They might not be the best example now, but they're one of those example where their army is so great that people fear to invade them because what happens. So that's reality, right? So now take that as a human being, as me in life as well. If I know how to defend myself, I would have less troubles with people trying to find me. And and those who don't know how to defend themselves, and you see this in school happening, is that they're being bullied. Hmm, that's beautiful. And to go back to that, right, is that once you develop the skills to defend yourself, then that's when they stop. And that could be with money, that could be with physical, that could be with spiritual. It doesn't matter. Like if someone at one point decide to throw all the money in to make sure they had to defend themselves in that way, then that's what it is. That's reality to itself. And if you then say, you know what, just fight me one on one, then they go like, no, this is my strength. My strength is in money, not in physicality. And that to itself is, I think, fair. It's in balance. I used to have a little bit of resistance to that. I was like, yeah, why don't you just play fair? But I feel this is just the playing field, the game that we're playing in, and we have to see the game for what it is. You can't say you can't do this, you can't do that. They're doing it, so we have to find a way to counter that. And this is what happens in a fight. At one point, you will have to find a way to counter whatever they're doing in order for you to thrive, to grow, to become a champion. And if you take this back into the countries, it's the same thing with countries. At one point, you have to understand what can we do in order for us to thrive, to not be manipulated, to not be influenced, to not be stolen from and taken away from, etc., etc. And again, this is also in our own life, and we continue this micro into the macro version until we understand what the balance is. And I feel like we are at one point we'll come to that conclusion. It's just that what will win, what structure will win. And I feel the best structure that can win at the moment, I feel is BRICS. Not to go too much in the political system, but it's an equal exchange. Gold standards will come back and it will bring true value to money again instead of fake value to money. And that fake value is connected to belief. It's like me telling you to believe in me that I'm worth trillions and trillions, and then you're just gonna lend me a million while I have nothing, and then I have to make sure that within maybe a year or two, I have to create a million for me to then give you that million. That's what's happening at the moment. They borrow out money they don't have, and then they have to make, and then the people will have to make that money in order for that debt to be cleared. And it's weird that the banks can actually do that while they don't have that money. Strange, right? And this is how they can create monopoly. Just give money away while not having it. If they were to just give that to me, that would be simple, right? I would just take over the world. Weird. But let's not go there. So I feel like now we're coming back more in balance because there's now bigger powers that can stop that from happening, but that means chaos. And chaos that is connected to we becoming very aware of what's happening now in the world. And we don't want that to happen anymore. I feel this is where our consciousness needs to evolve is to become aware of what's wrong in the world so that we can do something about it. If we stay ignorant to the world, nothing can change. But it seems that this time that we live in now, and I don't even feel like it's because people are done with it. I feel at one point people are just so done with it that something needs to explode. And that's the same within relationships, right? And also within yourself. Is that at one point you have bottled up so much emotions that you're like, you know what? Fuck it. Sorry. I'm going to say something about it. I'm going to express my anger. I'm going to express what I feel. And I feel humanity is that in that point, is that we are so bottled up in this frustration that we have against a system that is not working for humanity, that now everything is coming is being revealed, like the veils are being lifted, and the veil of illusion are being lifted and more and more and more because other people, other countries are showing where the problem is. And that to itself is where the narcissist, to come back to the narcissist, is where they start fighting. Because the narcissist then will try to defend their image, their ego, because it wants to show an image of themselves that is the illusion self and not the real self. Once the real self is being shown, then we know who the true enemies are of the world, and then we can say no to what we don't want anymore. And when I say enemy, I'm not saying that they are the big bad thing. We allowed it to happen because we are also a part of that big bad thing because we allow it to happen. And once we don't know how to say no to the people that is allowing these things to happen, we are the one that no longer are in control. So once we take back control, that means we take back control over our own land, over our own government, to make sure the shepherd is being selected by the people and working for the people and not the other way around. And that's also a part of that illusion, right? If we can see the illusion, we can break the illusion, then eventually that illusion breaks and then reality kicks in. So then things have to change. Yes, like you said, the system is okay. It's just that how are we using the system? It's like having a fork. I can use the fork to eat. I can use the fork in many different ways. But if you don't use the fork the right way, then it can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. And that's with the systems. Is that I feel like every system has their good, but also has their bad. Exactly. As a human being as well. The intention. I can become a very evil person or I can become a very good person because I decide what I want to be in life. And yeah, I think the new generations will do that. Just that we need to hold space for it and we need to become more aware of everything so that we don't have the wrong intentions um, to build a life together, to build a future together. So I reminisce back to the past is where they created beautiful things of quality and not of things that could be destroyed in like a year, things breaking, things behind a software cap, and all of these weird things to get more money from us. That's way too much, man. It's way too much. Everything is now locked behind a paywall, like a game. Like if you want to use this, then click here for extra, and then you have to pay another €5 or $5 or 20 or 30 or 1,000 or 10,000. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that I think that is also what I've been trying to regulate, maybe also in my system after the whole fasting thing, is that somewhere the fire to itself, if you go into more elements, and Yopa, you love dragons. I will show you from the dragon perspective. The fire in our heart, the fire within ourselves, is the one that is connected to nature. If the fire to itself is low, then that is the low vibration. If it's a high vibration, that means I speak the truth and nothing but the truth. I am empowered soul that lives the life that I truly want to be. My fire is everything that will burn through all things that is lies, and I will transform everything with my fire. That's it. That's what I have to say about the dragon energy and the truth of fire. So, fire to itself is also intention. Want to destroy, want to transform, and that to itself isn't even a bad thing. If you say I destroy something, you're welcome. If you destroy something with fire, that means there's a wall. That could be the wall could be a bad thing or a good thing, right? So there's a wall out of protection, but behind that protection of yourself, there's greater love. So we can either do this from a more gentle perspective, like, hey, love, it's okay, it's fine, you're safe, you can be, you don't have to be afraid. And then you have a more fiery kind of love, and that is stop the bullshit, just, be yourself, be empowered. And that can be for those who need that. And you have people who don't need that. They go for the gentle side of it. And then you have those who need like like a big spark to just activate them, to be passionate about something, right? And this is also my way of communication with myself sometimes. So that's why I can allow a bigger fire to happen. Ooh, she almost woke up. You might have to stop the life at one point. But yeah, I think that was it. Maybe. Hey. So Yopa, we really haven't really talked about the whole spiritual side of all of this, right? Are you awake, my love? Hey, schatje. Hey. Ja. Wil lekker slapen? Ja, nog een uurtje, hè? Ja, wil je ook iets zeggen? Zeg maar. Hm? Zeg maar hallo. Hm. Hm. Ja. Zeg maar, hè? Ja? Hm. Hm. Ja, mama is even winkelen, schatje. Mama is boodschappen doen met je broer. Ja, die komen zo terug. Ja? Okay, I'm gonna wake up with this small little poopy. And then I might not be back. I think I might be back tomorrow. And then you will see me back. Indeed, indeed. Want to say hi? Want to say hi, love? Yeah? Say hello. Say hey. You know how to say hey, right? My hey. My hey. Hey. Okay. Yoppa, thank you very much for being here again and having this beautiful conversation with me. I love talking to you, and a very beautiful, beautiful day. Enjoy your, yeah, I think your New Year's as well. If I don't come back anytime soon, but probably back tomorrow. So see you later, alligators. Have a very beautiful, blissful day, and enjoy the sun and the not the sun, but there's always sun inside of us. Bye bye.